Imagine the most influential math book ever written. A book that shaped the minds of everyone from Isaac Newton to Albert Einstein. Now, imagine its author is a complete ghost. This is the incredible, paradoxical story of Euclid of Alexandria. Born around 325 BC, we know almost nothing about his life. We don't know where he was born, what he looked like, or even how he died. The little we do know suggests he was educated in Athens, in the shadow of Plato's academy. He later built his career in Alexandria, Egypt, which at the time was the undisputed intellectual capital of the ancient world. You see, Euclid wasn't a man defined by his personality or his life story. He was defined by his absolute, unwavering clarity of thought. He was about to bring order to the chaotic world of ancient mathematics, and in doing so, change the world forever. He was the ghost who would build our reality. Before Euclid, mathematics was like a messy toolbox. It was a jumble of practical rules and tricks passed down from the Egyptians and Babylonians, often used without any real proof that they actually worked. Need to build a pyramid? Here's a formula. Need to divide your land? Here's another rule. It was useful, but it wasn't a system. It was knowledge without a backbone. Euclid's genius wasn't necessarily inventing brand new theorems out of thin air. Instead, he did something far more revolutionary. He gathered all the mathematical knowledge that existed, and he organized it. He systematized everything into a single, seamless, logical structure. This masterpiece was called Asterisk, the Elements Asterisk. It was a colossal work of 13 volumes, covering everything from plane geometry and number theory to the geometry of solid shapes. And at its heart was a groundbreaking idea, the axiomatic method. Euclid started with just a handful of simple, self-evident truths, things he called postulates and axioms. Statements so obvious, no one could reasonably argue with them. From that tiny, solid foundation, he used formal, step-by-step logic to prove every single theorem that followed. This was a complete game-changer, moving from unquestionable first principles to complex, profound conclusions through pure logic. This became the intellectual blueprint for all of science. It set the gold standard for rigorous proof that we still use to this day, in every field imaginable. Euclid didn't just clean up math. He gave humanity the ultimate tool for thinking. So, what was the secret sauce? How did this one book become so powerful? The answer lies right at the beginning, with Euclid's famous 5 postulates of geometry. These were the simple, non-negotiable rules that governed his entire system. Things like, a straight line can be drawn between any 2 points, and all right angles are equal to one another. They seem almost childishly simple, don't they? But from these 5 simple statements, an entire universe of mathematical certainty could be built. For over 2,000 years, these postulates were considered the absolute, definitive description of the space we live in. Asterisk, the Elements Asterisk, became the second most translated, published, and studied book in the entire Western world. Second only to the Bible. Think about that for a second. From the breathtaking domes of Renaissance cathedrals to the charts used to navigate the high seas, every educated mind relied on the principles laid down by Euclid. His work was the operating system of civilization. There's a famous story that perfectly captures his philosophy. King Ptolemy I, the ruler of Egypt, apparently asked Euclid if there was an easier, faster way to learn all this geometry stuff. A shortcut for royalty, Euclid's legendary reply. Sire, there is no royal road to geometry. He insisted that true understanding couldn't be handed to you, no matter how powerful you were. It had to be earned through the hard work of logical proof. For Euclid, the rigor of the journey was the whole point. For more than 2,000 years, Euclid's geometry wasn't just asterisk theory about space. It was asterisk, the asterisk theory. It was considered the singular, undisputed truth. His logical framework became the training ground for the greatest minds in history, from Copernicus, who rearranged the heavens, to Newton, who discovered the laws of motion, and even Abraham Lincoln, who used Euclidean logic to structure his powerful arguments against slavery. But there was one tiny little crack in this perfect edifice. One point of obsession for mathematicians for centuries. The 5th postulate. The one about parallel lines. Compared to the other 4, it always seemed a little less self-evident, a bit more complex. For 2 millennia, Mathematicians tried to prove the fifth postulate using the other four, and they all failed. Then, in the 19th century, a few brilliant thinkers decided to try something radical. What if the fifth postulate wasn't true? What if you just tossed it out and replaced it with something else? This bold move led to the creation of entirely new worlds of thought, the non-Euclidean geometry. And far from destroying Euclid's legacy, this incredible breakthrough actually confirmed his genius. Because it was precisely this new, non-Euclidean geometry that provided the essential mathematical language for Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity. Einstein showed that in the presence of massive gravity, space itself can curve. And on a curved surface, Euclid's parallel postulate no longer holds. A new geometry was needed, but it was born from challenging the old one. Euclid may have been a ghost in the pages of history, a man whose life is a mystery. But his method, his unwavering belief in logical proof, is the invisible foundation supporting our entire modern, rational world. He taught us not just what to think, but how to think. So, here is a question for you. Which mathematical principle do you think has had a bigger impact on the world? Euclid's 5 postulates, or Pythagoras' theorem? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story about the architect of logic fascinated you, do us a huge favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the figures who built our universe. Thanks for watching.